Hello everyone, how are you? So I hope you're comfortable and yes, thank you so much for coming today and spending your valuable time on Saturday. And yes, as today is a design meetup for us, very special. So yes, and we ensure that as you have come from far away, we ensure your timing, everything, and it has to be valued for sure. So yes, we're just going to start now. So yes, may I know that how many of you are coming for the first time here? Can you raise hands? Great, great, superb. And thank you for taking this initiative. This is really good one to see you here for the first time. And anybody, second time, of course, the count is less. I just want to know that. Second time, anybody here? Okay, great. So gradually the people will come. But yes, we are starting now as we don't want to delay because you came on the right time. So we respect your time for sure. So yeah, so this is our design meetup. Previously, we did a couple of months before. So this is the one again we are doing it. And my name is Prem. I'll be your host for the day. And this is my X handle and LinkedIn. You can add me in this handle for sure. So yes, this is a GeekyAnts here, and what we do and what exactly our role here. So we are a design and engineering studio with a user friend and AI approach. We are a community-driven company focusing on tech stacks like React, React Native, and Flutter. You must have heard. Uh, and yes, very important, we have built some amazing products. You might have heard about BlueStack, and it's a universal UI library where we do a number of products over there. You can of course have a look and check it out. And if you're interested to hear our next meetup, just want to inform you, BlueStack will be also presented in the React Native meetup, which is going to be held on 26th of September, this month itself, which will be in Berlin, in the same meetup.com slides, meetup.com website. In fact, you can have a look, and you can of course see the talk over there because it will be featured in the YouTube channel. And YouTube channel in the sense I'm talking about the React Native meetup, which is in Berlin. In that YouTube, you can able to have a look of the meetup as well. And this is our BlueStack UI. You can have a look of it. This is our design meetup, which we have conducted on April this year itself. There are a few pictures as a panel discussion, and there we have a photo booth. So please don't miss out to do a photo over there. And we want you to share in the social media. And yes, there's a hashtag GeekyAnts. You can share in LinkedIn, X handle, wherever you feel comfortable. Please do that. We want to have a full capture of the entire thing in the social media. I hope you'll be doing the right. Yes. Yeah. And these are the few pictures which our leaders taken a participation as a sponsor in AppJ's conference, which was in Poland, and React India, which was in Goa. This was of last year, and there are a few meetups which was in London. So there are few captures which we want to show you. This is our the middle one is a Figma conference which we have attended, and left one and right one was a AppJ's conference which we have sponsored. And yes, very interesting thing. You must be knowing that we have conducted our first conference in Berlin this year itself, which was in July 25th. It was a huge success. And this was in a theme of React Native and modern web. These are few captures which I want to show you. This was amazing, believe me. And still, if you want to have a look of the live, whether it's remote or in person, you can still go to the website of the geekconf.com. You can have a look of multiple speakers we have lined up, and you can see the entire talk. And of course, you can have a few pictures as well over there. This is, and yes, about the code of conduct. Do not use any hate speech, inappropriate comments. Keep it light. Be respectful and refrain from using strong words. And yes, how many of you are here for networking? How many of you? Can you raise hands? How many? Okay, just a very light questions. That how many numbers you are expecting? 5 numbers, 10 numbers as a networking? Okay, those who can do 5 numbers at least, can you raise hands? Okay, 10. Okay, 10. No, not at all. You can definitely do that for sure. Okay, so I'll see you. I'll definitely, check at the end. I'm sure you can able to do the networking. Okay, and I'll just want to show the flow of the event. So first, we'll be starting with Keynote. Then we'll be having four speakers overall. After two, we'll be having a break, short break. Then after that, two speakers will be there. Then at the end, the snacks will be displayed. You can have a snacks at the end after the entire thing. And anybody want to go for the washroom? It's at the back, straight away at the back washroom. Water bottles is there. You can have a drink when you feel comfortable. Yeah. So this is all about if you want to have Wi-Fi, you can have you can scan the code QR code and you can get to know over there. And if it's not working for you, you can use the password GeekyAnts @guest 2023. And yes, without further ado, let's start from a keynote speaker. And her name is Kavya Basvaraj, and she is a product designer. And yeah, we have uh, about about to start now. So yes, can I have a huge round of applause for her, please?
Hello, everyone. How are you all doing? Great. All right. I welcome you all to our design meetup. And I'm excited to do the keynote speech today. And this is my first time doing this. I'm super excited. And I want to start with a story. I want you all to imagine in the late 90s, a young man named Ashish was on a vacation relaxing by the beach, enjoying the cool breeze. He was also listening to a radio, and he happens to hear this ad about buying rugby tickets online. And that simple ad sparked an idea in his mind. And he comes back from his trip and shares this idea with two of his close friends. And they're all excited and they come up with the vision to solve a real world problem and build something revolutionary in the entertainment industry. Can you all guess which platform I'm talking about? Any guesses? I know you saw that before. Yes, that is Book My Show. So, Book My Show did not just succeed because of the idea, but they were really trying to solve a real world problem. And we will go through what problem they identified and how they solved it, right? What started as an idea today is a $1 billion company. So, we'll go through the transformation of Book My Show, how this happened through product design and market fit. Before we get into the topic, I will quickly introduce myself. I am Kavya Basvaraj, a senior UI UX designer at GeekyAnts. I am also known by the name Designer K because of the Figma video that I did a few years ago. And along with working on some amazing projects at GeekyAnts, I also enjoy hosting design talk shows. This was from a recent podcast. We talked about UX strategy. And along with that, I also enjoy reading books, mostly non-fictional. And I've recently picked up this book called Hooked, which is really amazing. And that is not a non-fictional, by the way. But I would recommend every product designer to read that book, very insightful. And as you can see in this picture, I also enjoy drawing huge mandalas. I love painting. I do all the creative stuff. And that's my cute little pet, Christy. He is 5 years old. I adore him. He's absolutely my favorite to spend my time with. So, yeah, that's a little bit about myself. Now, let's start with product market fit. Before diving into design, it's important to understand if there is a need for the product in your market, right? Market fit means understanding who your users are, what problems they face, and what solutions are they looking for, right? So in Book My Show's case, I am going to take that example because I want to show the transformation. In their case, they tried to solve the problem of how difficult booking tickets, movie tickets in India was. It was a cumbersome process, right? Standing in the long queues, last minute. Am I still audible? Okay. Standing in the long queues and limited choices, last minute availability issues. These were the problems they identified. They validated the need for this, and they created the right market segment. So this key process is market segmentation. Basically, dividing the market into different groups, right? They did not just cater to urban users, but also tapped into tier 2 and tier 3 cities where there was bare access to internet and no smartphones, right? With very budget smartphones, they wanted their application to run across various devices. Now, once you've understood the value of your product in the market, you move on with MVP testing. MVP testing basically is going to the market with a minimum cost and understanding what the user needs, and also trying to fulfill the market needs. So in Book My Show's case, they added visual seat selectors, or expanding from just booking movie tickets to concerts and live events, right? I would also like to add a point from GeekyAnts perspective here. So we do get clients with just an idea, right? But we always pitch them to go with the market research first and then go with the MVP version, because we need to understand what the market wants. I mean, what the user wants and how the market is ready to take your product. So yeah, once we know the value of the product, then finally scalability and adaptability. It's a key process because keeping your users engaged with your application is very important, and they achieved it by launching their in-house Book My Show stream while even during the pandemic, which kept the users adapted to the application, right? And when you keep the users engaged with your product, that's how your product can scale automatically. I think Instagram has mastered this. Let's be honest, we are all glued to our phones with reels, right? All right. Now that we've understood the market fit, let's start with the design process. I'm sure most of you here are designers, and we all know the design process. To quickly run through, we should always start with user-centric design by keeping the users first, right? We need to understand for which users are we creating this product, and create user personas based on different characteristics of users. We segment the users, and then to go a level deeper, we empathize with the users and understand conducting research, like conducting interviews, conducting surveys, and also observing your users when they're using your product. How exactly is your product making them feel? Are they frustrated? Are they happy? So these are the things that we need to consider. And moving on, design thinking framework is one of the key aspect of design process, because it helps you identify what are the user needs, and based on that you can improve your designs. So basically iterations are involved, like prototyping, testing, and everything. So moving on, we have balancing functionality and aesthetics. it's obviously important to have both of them, but if you have one of them missing, it wouldn't make sense, because if you have a visually appealing application but it does not work well, and if your users are not able to complete the process, for example any booking or any payment process, right, that might frustrate them, then that's not a good user experience. Now lastly, innovation. To truly stand out in the market, it's important to offer innovation. So, Book My Show did this by leveraging the data analytics and AI and ML to create personalized recommendations for the users, which made them feel that the app was just designed for them, right? I'm sorry. All right. At Geeky Ants, we follow similar steps with GlueStack, which was formerly known as Native Base. Let me quickly tell you what is GlueStack. GlueStack is a design and development tool which helps us build user-friendly and responsive web and mobile interfaces easily. It provides pre-built components and patterns which are optimized for both React and React Native, which is highly customizable, right? Through thorough market research, we also identified what the users actually want, and a few of the primary demands from the users were advanced customization and also to have a seamless collaboration between designers and developers. When I say advanced customization, we integrated latest features from Figma, like variable toggles from light to dark mode, which makes the customization more efficient. And we, to streamline this process further, we also introduced GlueStack Figma plugin, which helps the designers to update their styles and elements quickly, saving time and effort. Lastly, bridging the gap between designers and developers. We designers and developers both speak different languages, and due to this disconnect, there might be miscommunications and inconsistencies in the final product. To solve this, we at GlueStack created a unified workflow which helped both designers and developers work together on a project from start to end happily. So that gets us to the end of my keynote. I would like to conclude it by saying to build a product that truly resonates with the users, we must prioritize product market fit first and then move to the product design. By doing this, I mean, by solving, by addressing the user pain points and solving their problems in a right way, we are not just creating products that people that work, but people love, right? So yeah, that's about it. If you want to connect with me on Twitter, I go by the handle Kavya underscore Basvaraj. And yeah, I would love to welcome the following speakers. We have Praveen J, staff product designer from Hinge Health, and we have Vineeth Kiran, UI UX designer from GeekyAnts, and we have Shaikh Murad Ahamed, a head of design from Expwave, and we have Parul Verma, our UI UX designer from GeekyAnts. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you, Kavya. Thank you so much for insights. So here we are just going to move to the our first speaker of the day. So how many of you are ready for the talk? How many of you? Yeah. Okay. So but this crowd is very silent. I think I need to have a check, sound check. So this is the left side. This is the right side. I would just want to check that how much energy you have. So if I say one, this is one group, two group. Okay. If I say one, I want just a scream, whatever you can, yes or something like that. And this group I'll tell two. Okay. Let's check which group is having a superb or a great kind of energy. Okay. One. This is, I think, this is just hardly few percentage. Okay, well, let's check two. Two. My God, this is totally. I mean, we can't compare. Again, one. That's great one. So I'll check both the groups together. Okay. Both the groups together now. Nice, nice. Okay, fine. Great. So we'll start now with the first speaker of the day. His name is Praveen, and he is a product designer from Hinge Health. And he will talk about success centric design, something I know we have all been eager to learn about. Put your hands together for him, please.
Good evening, everyone. I hope my voice is pretty audible. Cool. Uh, I raised the hand when you mentioned the Book My Show story because of another reason, not because I saw your slide. I will tell you in the upcoming slides. Okay, so let's talk about success centered design. Sometimes I forget who I am. So I created some slides to remind myself who I am. Let me share that slides with you. Uh, so I am a traditional artist. So from my father's family, we are into fine arts business. We do sculpting, painting, artworks. So it's in my hometown in Kerala. My brother is doing that right now. So that is one of my background. And I'm also a performing artist from my mother's side. So I have a theater background. Also, I'm a mimicry artist. Before coming into design field, I spent 2 years researching about art and archaeology in Indian Institute of Science, exactly National Institute of Advanced Studies in Bangalore. And then I came to design field. I have an academic background of computer engineering. Uh, uh, my what I do a lot of things, and I consider myself as a versatilist. My profession is product design, and I also a design thinker and a facilitator. The second image is from Book My Show, where in Book My Show office we have an amphitheater. So this is from the design thinking workshop I conducted in 2022. And I'm also a community member in design communities. This is Interaction Design Foundation. So we were having a volunteer group. Since past 7 years, I am part of that. It's not so active right now, but it was very active before the pandemic. And institutionalization of design. So all of you who are working for an IT company have experienced this. When you are going to the tech team, product team, you need to uh, teach them what is design. So some people may call you a Photoshop designer. You had this, and in my previous company, once when the reporting structure, the organization structure changed, my reporting manager became an engineer manager, and then I have to talk to the HR team. No, I am not something coming under the engineering group. I am a product designer. I will either come into the product team or design team. So you need to make a lot of awareness about design. So the practice of that is called institutionalization of design, where you have to do a lot of other activities outside your design work. For example, the meetup, your talks, sharing articles about design, talking about design, giving examples, a panel discussion. There's so many other activities you have to do to teach your fellow colleagues and partners about the importance of design. And that is also required to raise the bar of your design maturity for your company. I'm also a logo collector. I'm just kidding. These all are the companies where I worked for. Uh, so I was a researcher in National Institute of Advanced Studies. Then I started my design career in the growth team of Cloud9, which is into healthcare domain. Then e-commerce, e-learning platform SimplyLearn. Then I worked for enterprise companies for 4.5 years. One was Unboxed and one was Noodle.ai. So Unbox is primarily helping the e-commerce companies to help their product discovery. For example, Big Basket or Decathlon, Nika. So mid and small e-commerce companies to provide a good product search experience and product discovery experience. And we have redesigned, in my tenure, almost 40 e-commerce companies search has been redesigned from this platform. And Noodle.ai was an enterprise AI company which serves products to manufacturing, supply chain, and logistic company. Book My Show, obviously, that's why I raised my hand. And the story of Ashish about rugby booking was inspiring for all of us in Book My Show. Then previous to, after Book My Show, I was working for a mental health startup called Urban Health. And currently I'm in Hinge Health. How many of you are designers here? Please raise your hand. That 90% of you are designers. Okay. Any UX researchers? Okay, only two. Product managers? No. Engineers? Awesome. Any other field? Okay. Any psychologist here? No. Okay. Okay, so the question to the design is, whom do you design for? Whom do you design for? You are a designer? Okay. Who is the designer here? Somebody raised? 90% people raised hand. You are a designer, sir? For the users. Okay. Anybody who is designing for the CEO or the business? No one. Okay. So nobody is here designing for the CEO. So in reality, you need to do both. You need to do design for your business and for the users. And that is success-centered design is all about. And I'll come to the details in moving slides. You're familiar with this experiment? Anybody familiar with this experiment? Who is that? Anyone? Okay. This is called the Columbia obstruction device. And this is an experiment started in 1940s by Columbia University. That's why this name came from. It is basically a psychological behavioral science test to understand the motivation behind animals to do certain things. So we all are animals. And by researching animals, we can also find what motivates humans also. So this device, there is a mouse and there is a box and there is an electric shock. So this mouse has to tolerate this electric shock to get this cheese. So what the experiment is about increasing the electric shock and increasing and decreasing the cheese. They have done both. So what they have found is when the cheese size is significantly bigger compared to the electric shock, the mouse is happy to go through the electric shock and get the cheese. When you reduce the cheese size, the mouse is not motivated. Similarly, when you reduce the electric shock, increase the electric shock, then also the mouse is not motivated. So there should be a ratio where the cheese has to be big enough so that the mouse needs to travel all over the electric shock. So it is similar. When you build a product, it is similar. This user, the mouse is similar to your user. The entire box is your product. This electric shock is the effort your users need to put to use your product. So the effort can be the cost they are paying, the price they are paying, the learning curve. So they need to learn your application. They need to learn your software. They need to put some time to use this product. And the cheese is the benefit the user is getting from your product. So it's simple. The cheese is big enough, the benefit is good enough, your users will be happy to use your product and pay for your product and spend time for your product. So let's take this success centered design from a case study. This is a project I did for my previous startup called Urban Health, and Urban Health was into mental health platform. So it was a 3-year-old company, and we wanted to have a complete redesign, and with our new business model initiative. So the problem statement was we already uh, learned about certain scope, and already we know some of the issues users are facing. And users are, it's an iOS app primarily, and it's available in Android also. So we wanted to get into a very scientific application. We wanted to have a very scientific based application. So the problem was, earlier we had this application and it was mostly a mindful app for the users. It was looking similar to Headspace, Calm, and other mindfulness app. So we want to change from that direction to get into mental health, which is clinically proven results. So that was the problem statement. So there are some recipes or mantras we can say for success-centered design. And the first thing is prioritize your goals. So when you go for a redesign or a design project, there are a lot of things come into the picture. But you may not be able to achieve everything. But you need to prioritize certain things which are the must-have. So for us, we had a lot of objectives, but the primary objective was we wanted to increase the engagement, the first 14 days engagement, because if the user is engaging enough 14 days and coming back to the app for 14 days, is more likely to convert as a paid user. And also, it was giving a look and feel of the mindfulness app, and we want to move from that and to get a complete look and feel of clinical mental health app experience. And the third is to show scientific results, you need to track the results. To find the mental health improvement, you need to track the mental health score of the user. So that is also something you need to add to the mindfulness app. And there are other objectives also we had, but we focused on these things. It's a small startup of 30 plus members. Still, there is good amount of stakeholders in this project. Especially, we had a psychologist who she was helping us with scientific knowledge and how things are working in the mental health field. In-depth user research. So I don't need to tell you about the importance of user research, but the important point is you don't need to do projects to learn about your users. Your founders knows a lot about your users. And when I joined, I had a user researcher in my team. She joined around 8-9 months before, and already 30 user testing and user interviews already done. So we had ample amount of information about the user that can be used for this project. So you don't need to start a new project to find about the users, learn about the users. You can start from what you have. So another project I already did before this project was the onboarding redesign. And we did test. We had a summative user testing for this, and we did test with 10 users. And we had the research information already. Then 30 historical user interviews we already did. And user exit feedback. When the user decide uh, to not to continue as a paid user, they give this feedback when they exit. That also we had. And app reviews, Google Play Store reviews we had. And also the analytics data. So we were every day we were spending an ample amount of time in Amplitude to find how the users are doing in our app. So that also we had, and also the UX audit, which is a common practice for the product designers. When you reach certain experience, you know the basics, you know the heuristics. You can actually do a UX audit of all the experience and log all the issues which you can find in that application. There are some user problems also we identified, which I already mentioned. The look and feel was one thing. Accessibility was another thing. This is primarily the market is USA, not India. So accessibility is very important. And our major chunk of users are above 30s and above 40s. So accessibility is very important. And also we wanted to focus on long-term solutions. So we found that we have enough content, the mindfulness content like mental health, mindful music, other motivation videos that was already there, which is giving a short-term solution. But we were not having a long-term solution which we can track. So that was something we wanted to introduce new. So this was our existing home before the redesign. We had a tracker and we had daily suggestions. And then we also have breathing animations and inspirational quotes, and also recents and favorites, where when a user is doing some action, we show that again. And we also found that recents and favorites have a good amount of engagement. Anybody here using mental health app? Seems like a new piece here. Anybody? No, no one is using mental health app. Okay, anyone using mindfulness app, meditation? Okay, people are very healthy people, not like me. Okay, so the um, third mantra is define your brand. So urban health was my fourth startup. So one of the mistakes most of the startups do is they focus on the product. So they focus on building the product, solving the user issues, and go to the market and find a product market fit. Then they think about the branding. And in my experience before urban health, we had I have 2 or 3 rebranding experience. The rebranding means once the company finds some market fit, they get some investment and they start refreshing the brand, spending some time and effort and money to the brand and redesign the logo, defining the color palette and the language, tone of voice, everything. But that was that is some of the mistakes most of the startups do. So since I already had the experience of that, I decided not to have that experience here. So I started with defining the brand and building a brand before going into the product design complete refresh. You're familiar with brand archetypes? Brand archetypes? Okay. So there are 12 brand archetypes. You can find most of the companies in the world belonging to any of these one particular archetypes. And you can see Apple is a creator, Dove is innocent, Sage, BBC, Google is also coming there. So your all the type of brands will fit into one or two of these archetypes. So if you decide which direction you need to take, it will be very easy to define your brands. So in our case, we chose caregiver as a brand archetype. And when you choose caregiver as an archetype, you can define your brand promise, brand motto, some of the keywords that goes with your brand, also the tagline, tone of voice, all the thing you can decide because you already have an archetype in your mind. So that brand redesigned. I created an entire brand guidelines, and we chose. We were having a blue color as a brand primary brand color before, and when we looked at the competitors and major players in the market, the top 5 players, most of them already have blue and other colors. So we wanted to stand out in the market, especially on the top market, and we chose green as our primary color. So nobody was having green as our primary color. So that's why green was picked as a primary brand color. And we did a complete design system uh, change, and which was covering the issues which I was referring to, the accessibility, the look and feel of a mindfulness app, um, the lack of contrast in the UI. Those all were addressed in the design system redesign. Experiment and learn. So that is the fourth mantra I can say. In a startup, you move very fast. So in the case of urban health, we were having weekly release. Do you have any experience of weekly release? So that means Monday I get a requirement, Tuesday I come up with a design, Tuesday we'll have a review, and Wednesday we'll lock the designs, and Thursday is our handoff, dev handoff. And if there are any issues with the handoff, we'll cover it in the Friday. And the dev will have 1 week sprint, and within 1 week this will be live. So we were going on a that that kind of pace we were going, and not like the 2 week sprint, which is common in agile world. So for this project also we wanted to do some experiment, and we already had some learning from the previous project. For example, we tried some gamification when the user completes a mindfulness content session, or and they then we show this gamification nicely done. And we also try to give some app currency like health points, and we added some motion graphics in the previous experiment that also found very successful, and it increased the engagement. So from this previous experience, we come up with a hypothesis. So to do any experiment, you need to have a hypothesis. So our hypothesis was, we believe that making the app experience more delightful, dynamic, and reducing content. So we were having a long scroll. We wanted to reduce the number of widgets, and that's why reducing content will improve the user engagement and retention. And we'll get to know the results from the core engagement data. That was our hypothesis. And we went with this hypothesis and did some redesign. Obviously, we took some competitor analysis, how the other competitors, similar platforms are doing, not exactly the mental health application, which are direct competitors. So Calm is one thing, Insight Timer, YouTube Music, and Spotify. This was the first version of the designs, where we introduced bigger cards instead of the smaller cards we used to have. And it had a dynamic carousel. uh, After a 30 second, not 30 second, 5 seconds, it will change. And also when you scroll, only 3 cards are there. The entire long scroll we reduced. So the fifth thing, the last thing is about the mantra of success centered design, which I have to tell you, according to my experience, is bias for action. So I think most of you are in your early career or maybe in mid career. This is something reality. You won't be happy on the designs which went live. You're working with different collaborators and stakeholders. Obviously, different perspectives will be there, and every perspective and decisions are right from their perspective. But you need to have some trade-off to come up to an end. In a faster moving startup world, you need to take decision very faster. Then only you can move forward. It is okay to fail. So there are some kind of biases we wanted to take. One is should we go with a card was getting a cut because it was very large card, but everyone liked it. Should we go with two cards which is showing in the first load, or do we need to have a? There was a Gaussian blur, glass bar was there, and which we decided not to go with because it was giving more. The second version was giving more contrast. So we went with these versions. Outcome. Anybody can guess the outcome. Very silent people. According to your experience, or just take a wild guess. How many of you think this was a success? Okay. Thanks for supporting me. Okay. How many of you think we failed? So many support again. Okay. Thank you for trusting me. We failed. That's a reality. So this was a very fruitful experience, fruitful experiment. Uh, we learned a lot from this experiment. For example, the outcomes we were targeting was not achieved, especially the engagement. Also, the daily plan was something very successful in our previous version that was reported all-time low, and also the amount of content engagement also went down. But we learned a couple of things. For example, we introduced recents and favorites icon on the top bar as a new enhancement. That was getting a good number of engagement. So a couple of learnings are there. But we did not stop there. We went to the second experiment. In the second experiment, considering consolidating all the learnings we have, we reduced the card size. We went with 2.25 of the cards, and then we pushed the daily tracker one step below, where we introduced the gamification points again upfront, and then some contrasting colors we tried for the other widgets. So this is the mental health score tracking, where when a user is onboarding for the first time, they will answer a set of questions. For example, if it is anxiety disorder, they will answer the questions called GAD7. And if it is depression, there is a psychology questionnaire called PHQ-9. Similarly, there are other questionnaires also used for specific mental health score, and that will be again asked after 14 days. So 14 days, the user needs to be there for 14 days to do this second assessment. And then we will compare the first assessment and the second assessment. If the points are going low, it's an effectiveness because your mental issues are going low, and that we consider as effectiveness. And also we introduce some learnings since we are introducing those features for the first time. And also when they click on this, if they are clicking on the sleep, they will get sleep content suggestion. If they're clicking on the walk, they will get the walk related content suggestion. And the second experiment, we succeed. That's a good news. Someone was showing some trust on me. Thank you so much. So the second experiment, we succeeded, and we got a good engagement, and the 14-day engagement, which was our one of the North Star, that also increased. Retention also increased. Session completion rate also increased, and we got a more assessment of the users, and we achieved 80 plus effectiveness, which is required if you go for FDA, Food and Drugs Association in US, similar to India. There are some bodies to approving your quality of your product. For example, there is a domain called digital therapeutics. Are you familiar with that? Anyone? Digital therapeutics means you are selling software as a medicine. So for this case, we are giving a mental health application as a cure for your mental health problems. So it can come under DTX, which is digital therapeutics. Also, we learned more about the user and we started creating in-house content. Before that, we were actually outsourcing in content. So these are my five mantras or recipe for success-centered design. Prioritize your goals, and do in-depth user research. It can come from anywhere. Talk to everyone in the company. When you join a new company, talk to everyone and ask them what they know about the user. Founders know ample amount of things. Define your brand. This is something missing in most of the startups. Experiment and learn is a very common thing. And bias for action. So this is something you need to accept as a reality. You need to take calls even if you are not happy with the design. Let's commit and disagree and commit, because you need to have some evidence to support your decision. This is good or bad. Otherwise, just leave it. Cool. That's all from me. Thank you so much. It's an amazing crowd, silent crowd, very intellectual people.
Thank you so much,
Questions?
Praveen. Yeah. So I mean, if you want to scan also, please scan to connect Praveen here, please. The LinkedIn.
We have time for Q&A.
Yeah, definitely. So you can definitely check, and if you want to ask 4 to 5 questions, you're always welcome, please. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We have another mic. Okay.
Yeah, hi Praveen. Yeah, hi Praveen. My name is Abhishek. My question is, as you mentioned that in the week one, you created one design. The design which you compared yours was good. I also felt that. You released on the production and it failed. Okay. In how much time you again redesigned and deployed on the production? Because as you defined your brand, you need customers to pull on your app, right? And for that, you need marketing and other various steps you need to take so that the customer knows about your app. In 1 week, your app has failed to gather certain traction. In another week, how you will be able to pull it off?
So the branding activity we were doing parallel. It was before this activity, before this project. So I was doing an onboarding project, onboarding redesign.
Okay.
That time also this branding has already done.
Okay.
So during that onboarding, we have done half of all the onboarding screens were incorporated with new brand.
Okay.
Only the home and other experience were in the old theme.
Okay.
So we were doing this parallelly. The brand redesign was happening parallelly. The brand guideline was already created.
Okay.
Incorporating that into design system and into the design were happening parallelly,
I have,
project by project.
yeah, sorry to interrupt. I just have one more doubt. As you mentioned, the brand guidelines were created, but from the second design which you have shown, which is right now in the production, has a contrast text like red, green, blue, yellow. Different kind of colors are there in the text. According to the brand guidelines, I don't think that is that feasible or not, because you have to keep a consistent UX across the pages. If you are adding a widget having a different color tiles, is that a favorable thing in terms of
In
business?
terms of that brand you are telling,
Yes, yes.
yeah. So caregiver brand normally doesn't have that kind of contrast. But
Okay.
if you look at this screen, it looks very contrasting. But in iPhone, if you try, that's not so contrasting. It's very common in most of the mindfulness. If you can see Headspace or Calm, you will see similar colors used in there.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good question. Any other question?
Anybody? Yeah.
So you were discussing about the mantras for success center design. So initially you started with to prioritize goals. So could you explain like why is it on top of the list? And one more thing I'll ask to like to ask is how does a perfect success driven design look like? Because you failed initially, and then what were the basically what went wrong, so that what so that you had a better output the second time. Thank you.
Thanks for the question. The first question was, sorry, forgot your first question. Uh, Prioritizing goals. So I'm talking from the designer's perspective. When you get a redesign opportunity, a redesign project, if you are a designer, you can actually resonate. I'm going to change everything. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. That's the mentality mostly a designer will have, especially in an early career. I will take the best design from that app, this app, and make a combination. And that's kind of a thought is that coming from most of the designers' brain. But that is what the business wants. Business have certain objectives, and you need to focus on that. Also, there is the effort and impact ratio. My one of the question my founders asked, how are you defining how much time will take for a particular design? So when your founders or your stakeholders coming into you for asking for a design requirement, you can take 2 days, you can take 1 week, but at the same time you should ask, is it worth spending 1 week? Because what is the impact this project is going to create for the business? If it is if it is going to bring a high impact, it's worth to spend 1 week or 2 week. And if it is a reversible thing or irreversible, that also you need to check. If I go with this design, can I come back and redesign if the designs are failing? That is also another question. So prioritizing is very important whenever you do a project. The second question was how uh, what is the success centered design actually look like? From a startup point of view, it's okay to fail. For example, we had 10,000 active users. So the designs went live, and we found some certain drops. But those drops were the first time users. The users were coming to the app for the first time and using it for the 14 days. And these were not released for the existing users who are already paid for the application. So we tested with the new users, and if it is successful, then only we will ship it to the existing users who are actually the paid users. So you can do a step-by-step A/B testing and then go for the good ones. Hope I answered your question. Thank you. Yep.
Hi, my name is Karishma, and I'm in my like final year right now, and I'm studying fashion communication. So my question is like, right now people are coming in. A lot of people from different sectors are coming in and asking for what is UI UX, and they are getting in the field. I am studying that course. So what are certain tips that like you're looking for if I'm applying in a new company or as a startup or a brand? Anything? What are the certain tips from your end that a newcomer should have?
Okay. You're applying for my company, Hinge Health?
I should, right?
You're asking for the first time, right? Okay, so first time, the challenge you will find is you will have projects in your portfolio, but those are not something went live and created impact. That is one drawback. Most of the first time designers or the early career you will be facing, because there is no one to build your designs and go live. So maybe you can actually look at other domains, like for example charity, or other there are similar products where they cannot spend on product design and product design. So let's say they don't have budget, so you can actually do a freelance without taking money to them and do a project and help them, and then that will go live and show some impact that you can add into your portfolio. Also, there are some I don't remember sites. There are very design challenge sites are there where every week, every day challenges are coming. You can participate in that competition and that also you can showcase in your portfolio. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. So if you must be having some more questions, so I will request you to take it in the networking session, either in the break or in the end of the session. Yeah. Thank you so much, Praveen. It was very captivating. Thank you so much. So yes, we will move to the next speaker now, and his name is Vineeth Kiran. He is from GeekyAnts, and he is UI UX designer, and he will talk about uh, data-driven design, crafting market fit products, and he loves to have riding and hiking. So yes, please enjoy it.
Check. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. This is Vineeth here. I'm a UI UX designer here at GeekyAnts. So before I actually proceed, I would love to take a small survey. I would love to understand how many of you are working as UI UX designers or product designers here. You can raise your hands. Okay, I'm assuming I see not a lot of people have lifted hands. I'm assuming either they are from different backgrounds or want to start their career as UI UX designers. The reason why I asked, why I wanted to know this data is I want to majorly um, craft my presentation in such a way that I am able to cater to to the audience better. Just as the way that I am currently leveraging this data in terms of understanding how I can craft my presentation better for you guys, since you're all freshers here. Most of them are freshers here. We can also leverage data in product design. So that is today's topic of discussion. Data-driven product design. Before I can actually get started with the presentation, I would love to give a small introduction about myself. I'm Vineeth Kiran. I am a UI UX designer here at GeekyAnts. I have about 3 years of experience working in this domain. During my tenure working with GeekyAnts, I've been exposed to multiple different domains. That includes healthcare, human resource management, Web3, AI, which is like the hot cake right now, and SaaS products, a lot of SaaS products as well, e-commerce websites, few more domains like that. So let's quickly understand what the data-driven design is. So data-driven design is basically leveraging how you are able to leverage data to how you are basically able to leverage data to take design decisions. So before we actually dive into the presentation, we want to understand why we are actually why do we actually need to leverage data in product design. So leveraging data in product design will actually give you it will actually give you more informed decision making, which actually means like it will help you reduce your guesswork. It also provides a factual basis of design decisions. It ensures that the changes that you are able to do are actually by real world problems. It will help you improve user experience. When I say improve user experience, I mean you can analyze user data, and it can also help you identify pain points. It will also help you to understand user journeys as well. So it can also help you create products which are better market fit. So data will actually help you understand which functionalities are most valued by users. So that data can help you with, which also means that there's less guesswork for you. Cost efficiency. Cost efficiency is one more thing that data can help you with. So how is it making it cost efficient? So data will actually help you understand real life world problems. This actually gives you an idea of important features that needs to come in, and also this will help you reduce your guesswork, and also it will help you focus more on features, which is very important. Okay. Before we can actually get into the presentation, we might want to understand a few key terminologies. So those key terminologies are retention rate. So what is a retention rate? So retention rate is basically a percentage of users who use your product over a period of time. What does that mean? So let's say that you own an e-commerce application, and a lot of users are on the application. Let's say at the start of September, you had about 100 users. Let's simplify it. Let's say that you had about 100 users, and at the end of maybe let's say 30 days, the end of September, you see only 30 people are actually using the platform. That means that your retention rate is about 30%. Churn rate. So churn rate is basically the opposite inverse of what retention rate is. It basically means that there are a total number of people who stopped using the product. So let's say that on the same e-commerce platform application, you had about 100 people using the application, and only about 20 people are using it, stopped using it at the end of the day. So that gives you the churn rate. Moving ahead, we have conversion rate. So conversion rate is basically okay. Let's define a conversion rate. So conversion rate is basically an actionable a rate that you're able to identify while users do a desirable action. For example, let's say you own an e-commerce website. We can take the same example. You own an e-commerce website and you have a landing page on it. So the main conversion that you would want to see on a landing page is users to sign up. So let's say about 100 people visited the landing page, and only about 20 people signed up to the platform. So the conversion rate there would be about 20%. Click-through rate. So a click-through rate could be for any link, I would say. So a click-through rate is basically a measure of success for a particular button or a link. So let's say you own an e-commerce website and you have multiple products in your cart. You're measuring a click-through rate for a particular buy now button. So 100 people visited the page, and only 20 were able to click on the button. So then the click-through rate is about 20%. Let's understand the types of product. Let's understand the types of data and product design. So basically, there are about two types, which is quantitative data and qualitative data. So quantitative data usually defines as the number quantity suggests. It's about numbers. It basically defines about how much, how many, and how often. So these give you measurable insights into user behavior. So there are multiple ways how you can capture quantitative data. Let's discuss about a few. Web and mobile analytics. So there are a lot of websites which will give you analytics in terms of how the total number of click rates, bounce rates, conversion rates that are happening throughout your platform. So integrating with such kind of a website will give you more analytics, which can help you take data-driven decisions much better. So a few tools like that are Google Analytics, Adobe Analytics, and Map Panel. Okay, next we have A/B testing. So A/B testing basically defines, so how A/B testing works is you have two set of designs, so design A and design B for a particular feature, and you compare design A and B, and then you take a decision if design A is working better or design B is working better. To give you a better example, I think a lot of people would be using Instagram. And since a lot of people use Instagram, I think you would also notice that a particular feature that you see on your mobile is very different when compared to your friend. sometimes it's very different. The reason why that happens is because Instagram does a lot of A/B testing. So they release a particular for a particular flow. They release two features, feature A and design A and design B, and then they test it out. So with real life audience. So once they test it out, they get an understanding of how it is actually performing. So once they get a understanding of how it's performing, they will be able to they take the decision. Okay, design A is actually performing better, and we will push this design A to everybody who's using Instagram. So that's pretty much it. Pretty much on how A/B testing works. Heat maps and click tracking. Okay. So heat maps are another way of analytics, how you will be able to understand how users are potential, where users' attention is going. So heat map, how actually a heat map works is it you should be able to link your website or a platform with tools such as Hotjar and Crazy Egg. So these will give you an idea of where the user's attention is actually going. So the heat maps usually are in terms of hotter colors are usually red, and the neutral colors come close to like blues, etc. Blues. So the way that that this application works is they take data such as scrolls, clicks, and while user hovers, where he is hovering at, to convert this data into a heat map kind of a structure, so that this data can be used. So let's say that on a sign up on a landing page, your user's attention had to go through to a particular CTA, but it was not going there. The reason is because maybe let's say that you had another image next to it, which was actually grabbing users' attention there. So you see that there is a bounce off, like you want the users to do something, but they're not doing that. There's a particular CTA you want them to click, but they're not doing that. So analytics, heat maps, and click tracking applications can give you an idea about where users' attention is and how you can change. If you feel that it's not doing what it's supposed to do, you can go ahead and change your designs later. Cohort analysis. So cohort analysis is basically a group of people who share a particular characteristics. They track these guys, so they make these people in terms of a particular group, since they share common characteristics, and then they track them over a period of time. So that would give you an understanding of how users are actually performing through the application. Okay, benefits of qualitative data. It actually gives you a broad perspective of user behavior with a very large sample. It also offers significant insights, which can also help you to either prove or disprove a hypothesis. It helps prioritize the design change. It helps you prioritize design change based on user metrics. It will also help you to prioritize features which are very necessary at the start. Qualitative data. Okay, so qualitative data is all about the quality of data. How does that work? So this qualitative data usually answers questions like why, how, and how people actually interact with the product. These give you more insights into user motivations. There are multiple ways how you can collect qualitative data. Let's run through a few of them. User interview. So I am pretty sure that a lot of people would have an idea of what user interview is. So user interview is basically having a conversation one-on-one with your user, so that you're able to get very rich information in terms of the product that you're trying to design for. Usability testing. So usability testing is basically when you have a product ready or you have a prototype ready. You go ahead and you sit with the user to understand how he's actually performing it. So the advantage of this is it gives you an understanding of if they're stuck with a particular obstacle, you will be able to identify it at that point of time. It also gives you an understanding of how they're performing throughout the application. If the user, if the goal that you have set to attain a particular conversion rate, if it is being met or no. If it is not, you get an understanding of why it's not being met, and then you will be able to make changes accordingly. Okay, surveys and open-ended questions. So surveys and open-ended questions give you more understanding in terms of how people are what people want. So you can ask you can ask very important questions like, how what do you think like the next feature would be on the platform. These kind of open-ended questions would give very rich insights in terms of understanding what users motivations and pain points are here. Okay. Customer feedback and reviews. A lot of apps have most apps have play stores and app stores where you are able to collect a lot of feedback. So customer feedback, you also have like in-app forms where you're able to collect a lot of feedback regarding the application. That's really important for you to collect a lot of data and feedback. So this can help you prioritize features. Okay, benefits of qualitative data. The qualitative data is usually, worked upon after receiving a set of quantitative data. So since it's worked upon after receiving a set of quantitative data, this provides you more understanding of users' motivation, needs, and pain points. It also offers qualitative data on certain user behavior. It gives you an idea of why the users are behaving in a certain way. It also helps you generate new ideas for features. Like I said, since you talk to users, you get to know, what is the product actually lagging in and how you can actually make it market fit. Okay. Next, let's check out a few case studies. So the first case study that we're going to be talking about is Netflix. So this is a time. This case study is about a time where Netflix was not that famous, like you all know right now. So Netflix wanted to increase user engagement and reduce their churn rate. So let's understand what they did to reduce the churn rate. So they started off with quantitative data, which is like Netflix actually collected a large number of data, which included user viewing habits, watch times, pause rates, replays, search queries. They also measured the number of seconds that a particular user lands on a particular tile before clicking it, and the number of seconds that they hovered over it as well. So this kind of data gave an understanding of what is the most engaging content for users. They also tested A/B testing. So in A/B testing, they actually tested a lot of UI layouts, thumbnail designs, and recommendation algorithms to see which version actually led to the highest retention rate and user satisfaction. Qualitative data. So Netflix gathered qualitative data through user surveys and focus groups to understand user preferences and pain points. This feedback actually helped them to refine the user interface and experience much better. So yeah, after doing all this, the users would have the application should of course have a positive impact, right? Yes, they did. They saw a reduction in churn rate, which means that users who stopped dropping off using the application, they saw a reduction of 6 to 9% in that. So we can move to the next case study, which is Spotify. The challenge. Okay. So this is a time about Spotify's creation for Discover Weekly. I think a lot of people use Spotify here, so I think they would know what is Discover Weekly. So for people who don't know what is Discover Weekly, a Discover Weekly is basically a playlist which gives you recommendation in terms of the music that you listen to, very curated, especially for you, I would say. Yeah, the challenge for Spotify was, it wanted to improve user retention and engagement level by creating highly recommended music playlist for a particular individual. How did they do this? So they tracked a lot of data, which included users' listening habits, playlist creation, the type of songs that is there in the playlist, the skips that they do, what genre that these songs belong to when they skip a song, and replaying a song. So they captured all this data they captured all this data, and on A/B testing, they worked on a lot of aspects, which included placing UI elements in different places, and playlist recommendations. Next, through quantitative data, they also collected a lot of feedback in terms of in the application, in-app application, and on they and focus groups. What this led is they were able to achieve features such as offline listening, because they listen to their users. So after this, they were able to increase the retention rate of about 70 to 80%. They also saw about 40 million users who streamed 5 billion tracks after the release of Discover Weekly. Okay, moving ahead. Next, I would love to talk I would love to talk a little bit about my personal experience working with data. So I think about 8 months ago, we designed for one of the biggest jewelry brand in India. So the client came up to us and they told us that they are seeing a lot of users who are dropping off at the checkout point. When we analyzed the data that is available, we understood that users are not able to have proper informed. They're not informed properly about. They're not fully aware of things that is happening on the checkout through the entire checkout process. We also understood that it's not chunked down properly, so that users are very informed about what particular stage they're at. So we redesigned the application in such a way that we redesigned the entire application, but the main pain point was on the checkout flow. We understood that a lot of users are dropping off because it's not fully um, it's not properly segregated. So we exactly did that, and we were able to see earlier the conversion rate for the checkout was about 20%, when we were able to bounce it back to about 60%. So that's pretty much how we actually design products at GeekyAnts. We actually follow pretty much the same kind of manner that we spoke about right now. Let's quickly jump to challenges of data-driven design. So there are a lot of challenges when it comes to data. We'll quickly explore a few of that. So one major one is data overload, because it is very easy to become overwhelmed with the sheer amount of data that is available. For you, it is more important for you to understand your users' goals and motivations, and also your business goals, to cater to that particular data set. This will actually help you to reduce data paralysis. Next one is balancing creativity. So balancing creativity is very important with the sheer number of data that you're able to see. It becomes hard for you to balance creativity, but you should also understand that data is not dictating design. It is it is just part of it, and it should not hinder with your creativity. Ethics and privacy. So right, the data is very personal for everyone. So it is very important as a UI UX designer, for you to collect data with utmost security, which includes GDPR compliance and CCPA. Also, just know that it is data and it's very personal for users. So just keep an eye on that. That brings us to the end of the presentation. So just to conclude it, leveraging data is very crucial. It helps you create products that users love. By using qualitative data, which gives you measurable insights, and quantitative data which can back it up, which will actually give you a deeper understanding of users' motivation. It is designers can build products which is very market fit. Data-driven design is just not about numbers. It's about understanding users' behaviors and how you can craft products which truly resonate with them. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, we can go ahead.
Yes, still, I mean, we have shortage of time, but still we can take questions. One from this side, one from that side. Please, anybody? Any questions is there from this side, please? No? That side? Yeah.
Hi. So my question is, you just mentioned about a jewelry case study that you
Mhm.
gave. So you mentioned that there was more of dropouts in the checkout page,
Right.
and you just segregated it well, and it worked. So
Mhm.
can you just
It's
let
not
me
okay. Please go. Please go.
yeah, can you just let me know, like in the checkout page, what is it that you changed
Okay.
that you got the users back?
I am actually not supposed to discuss a lot about this information, but I'm just going to try to keep it simple for you guys. So the major things that we changed is like there are a lot of things that we changed throughout the application. It's like, keeping users informed. Earlier, what we saw on the platform is like, a checkout. Users were able to check out, but they were not able to see, order summary. A lot of details on order summary, which means that that was not the application was not very transparent, I would say. We changed that, and we also chunked it down into different categories, which means that let's say cart is one section, right? So post cart you have delivery information, right? You might want to add in delivery information. Then you have the payment, and we segregated it into different chunks like this, so that it was much easier, and it was also informing for users that I know that okay, I'm in step 2 out of 5. I have 3 more steps ahead of me. So small design decisions like this brought in much more bigger impact and increase their uh, conversion rate.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
That's it.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Vineeth. Thank you so much. It was really, really knowledgeable and full of insights. And I hope that definitely for all the designers, it is really, really useful. Yeah. So now we'll be having a short break. I know you must be waiting for that. So tea and coffee is that side, and even the some chips as well. You can grab it. Sorry. So now it's I think 4:20, right, Bhushan? Yeah. Yeah. So can we just request it to just come by after 20 minutes of time? Yeah. Please. So there is a tea and coffee now for you. Thank you. Yes, so the break is over. So we are now going to start with the next phase of speaker. So yeah, so his name is Shaikh Murad, and he is the head of design of Expwave, and he has more than 12 years of experience. So, and let's give him a huge round of applause right now, please. Yeah, he will speak about activated UX unleashes full business potential. Please come.
Hi. So it gets a little confusing as to if people can hear me at the back as well, because I don't know as to where exactly am I supposed to hold the mic. Yeah, please let me know as to am I audible. Okay. Yeah. And at any point of time, if you think that I'm smiling, it mostly is because my wife is sitting over here. So I'm just like trying to smile at her. Yeah, please bear with me. Okay. Firstly, this is an amazing crowd because it's Saturday. It's 5 o'clock and we are here. We must have had our better half somewhere else. We have left them. We are here. So you guys are really serious about user experience, and that's why you guys have come here. So what I have for you is a very serious topic that I think at some point of time we definitely have to discuss in our story as a UX designer. Okay, so for all the people who are very new to UX design, or to the design as your career to get started with, it could feel like it's a little overwhelming, but that's the reality. So I'm going to talk to you about how exactly are we not able to elevate ourselves, provide what is the value that we were supposed to give as UX designers, and how we have not been able to fully give away the business potential that we hold at this point of time. Okay, so the first few screens are mostly about the fact that I will showcase as to we are calling ourselves to be UX designers, but we are not doing what is necessarily required, first few screens. And then I'll also talk about how exactly are we to step forward from where we are today, what are the kind of steps that we're supposed to take. And of course, I have only about 20 minutes, so I'll not be able to get into a lot of details as we speak, but I'm going to try my best to answer any questions that we have as well. Okay, so the topic Okay, so the topic goes as activated user experience. That's the first part. I would like of us to remember as to what exactly is activated UX experience, because Praveen comes and says success-centered design. So someone always has this term which says like कुछ तो अलग करते हैं. Yeah, UX को लेके कुछ तो add करके बता देते हैं. So activated UX is something that I would like to talk about by the end of it. But in general terms, just to get started with, can someone talk about one myth about user experience that you have been listening? Design user experience. Someone. One myth, one perception. Anything. Anyone? Myth. Myth. Is UI equal to UX? That's a myth. Yeah? Anything on the lines? Go for it. Understood. Yeah, no, I need a new myth. Go for it. But thanks for validating. Huh? Yeah. Anyone? Yeah, go for it.
Just a second, please. I'll give the mic.
I think we're loud enough, Prem.
UX is nothing but making interface look beautiful.
Lovely. Do we agree to this? Yeah. We actually keep hearing this a lot, and I think Praveen also mentioned this. He says that we are turning out to be Photoshop experts in so many ways, and people actually expect of us to start talking from the perspective. You know what? Forget about all of that. We do not feel really great to even have those Gantt charts that we make use during the program management or the project management to not look ugly, because we are enforced to the fact that I'm going to put some blue color to it and make it appear nice. Was it necessary? No, it was not required. But you know what? We have to do it because we are force ourselves. Like, come on, I'm a UX designer. I'm supposed to do much better with the colors in this point of time. Okay. So I'm going to talk about what exactly activated user experience is. And then I also would try to relate it with the perspective that what is full business potential. You know what? Vineeth spoke of data. Have you seen that we did not talk about the numbers that we want to achieve? Did we ever say that give me 1 rupee, I'm going to turn it into 100 rupees and then give it back? No, we don't actually have that kind of translation at this point of time. Just imagine we had that kind of power. And then I would say that, you know what? You want me to conduct user-centered design? Give me 1 rupee, I'm going to conduct user research. But if I do that, I'm going to translate that 1 rupee into 100 rupees, no matter which kind of business owner are you talking to, he's going to invest in you. So what has happened over time we have moved away from selling business rather than doing business simply because that's what we are expected of to do. So in this particular case, we will talk also about the fact that how exactly are we supposed to start elevating towards being a business driven UX designer. Okay, I think Prem already spoke about me. I am Sheikh Murad. I am heading design at Experience Wave. It's yeah, I think it gets a little difficult to translate to actually tell us to what this is about. EXP Wave stands for Experience Wave, and I have about 12 years of UX design expertise. I've worked with a lot of domains. I am to be honest, I mean that's what a generalist UX designer is supposed to be. He's supposed to be domain agnostic. He doesn't have to always look for the same domain that he had been working in the past. You got to be really moving fast in order to get across the fact that you don't have to worry about the fact that I work with some domain, I'll not be able to continue on the same domain at a later point of time. You actually have those skills if you have your foundations really strong. And I also have a master's in organizational psychology. So I answered Praveen when he asked as to, are there any psychologists? He didn't even look at me. Damn. Okay. So I also am certified at highest level by Experience Wave and HFI. I'm a co-author of book Business Driven UX Design as well. Okay. So have you heard that UX is supposed to drive business anytime in the past? Heard? Okay. Is this like a buzzword that goes on that anytime a new organization which would like to teach UX to you always tries to connect these two terms and then says that I'm going to make you a business driven UX designer? And this keeps on happening, which mostly means that we see the value that the UX can bring. We just don't know as to how to connect the dots and how to leverage it. And when I say we, right, it is not just about the UX designers. It's also about the people who actually see that they need a UX team in their organization, but they just don't know as to how to put it to the proper use such that they really can turn $1 to $9,900. That's the potential that UX design holds at this point of time if you know how to utilize it in the right context. Okay, and that's a Forrester study that says that if you have invested $1 user experience, can actually translate it into $9,900 if you have used it right. We have been studying a lot of UX designers in the past 1 year. That has become a part and parcel of my work at this point of time because uh, I would like to really understand as to what are we trying to do in our day-to-day work as a user experience designer. And this is from a recent study that I have been performing with about 314 designers in the past. Anyone who is with an experience level of 3 to 5 years? 3 to 5 years? Very few. Okay. Anyone who is just getting started? I know you. Yeah, you're getting started. Okay. A lot of people, is it? So this particular study is about the fact that people who have spent some amount of time looking at how whatever we have learned in our theoretical understanding, educational backgrounds, how exactly should that translation happen whenever you start working in your corporates, in your organizations. And these are the people who, so the 314 people that I'm talking about have an experience level of about 3 to 5 years, because now they know that wo jo bhi sikha tha wo alag tha. You know what you really require in that to work in a team is rather very different, right? And they can actually tell you as to all that was BS, this is not going to work. So almost 100% of them agree that UX has the capability of driving business end to end. But there are only 3% people who have been spending time tracking exactly as to are they equating to that business numbers. They could be going to a level where they could say that I am assessing the usability part of it, I'm assessing the churn rates of it, but they still don't know as to what exactly is turning into business numbers by the end of it. So one or the other way, there is a huge gap that we have been able to build between what we would like to measure, what we are supposed to do, versus what exactly are we capable of doing. So at this point of time, if you feel like you'll have to jump out of your seats and then say that, yes, I'm doing less, I'll have to do a lot more, please do it. Okay, because we have been a really silent crowd. Okay, first things, if we have been thinking that it's the intentions which matter, and then why exactly have you not been able to become that kind of designer whom you were supposed to be? So good intentions, good motivations which are coming from your bosses in itself are not going to help you to become the person whom you're supposed to be becoming. And what actually happens in many places is you get started with goal setting. Do you guys create design strategies to begin with? Design strategies, yeah. So you have one particular topic that also says that I will sit with executives, I will identify what is the intent that I'm supposed to identify, what is the project goal in the form of numbers, like I'm here to turn 10% conversion rate into 20% conversion rate. I think that's what Vineeth also spoke about. We kind of do this, is it? Why do we do that? Simply is because there are so many steps that we have identified in our work setup. We do it because we just have been said we are supposed to do it. We do not see any value whatsoever that we derive from that. And this happens a lot. I actually have a lot of examples where we have just been wasting efforts. For example, we create personas. Do you guys really understand at some point of time that you have significantly made a difference by creating a persona at in any project whatsoever? Have you tried to put efforts to turn those proto personas that you have created from ChatGPT into real personas and then use it in the right context that the entire team has started talking from that user's perspective? Has it ever happened? I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it in my 13 years of experience, work with lot many managers who were a lot better than me, but hasn't ever happened. Okay, so which mostly means that we have good intentions to become good UX designers. It's just that we have lot of constraints, lot of blaming which is going on, and quite a lot of times it's not me. I'm not the problem. Come on, I mean, we never want to see ourselves to be the problem people. But that's the cognitive dissonance. We always would like to find problem in someone else. So this is all about identifying as to the problem is within you as well. Okay. Are you following up with your design goals? Say you set up the goal. This is one goal that I had set up a long time ago, which says that I would like to achieve a conversion rate of 0.14. So I think Vineeth also spoke about it, which actually says that if 1,000 people come to my application and start their journey, I at least want 14 people to convert, to take up the loan that I have set it out for. 14 people out of 1,000 people. And that's the aim that I have. It's a mediocre goal, but that's a very solid goal. You have been able to set it out. But what's going to happen? I worked on it for about, say, 2 sprints of time, which is about 4 weeks. And after that, I immediately was pushed into a next project. So all the goals that I had to set up, they don't matter anymore because my allocation again went out to something else. And I was 100% working for something. I'll not be able to go back and check as to whether after the development, was I able to achieve that goal or not? So what is happening at some point of time is I, as a designer, I'm getting really better at identifying what is the goal that I'm trying to set, but not achieving those goals. Okay, so because by the time I reach the point where I'll have to start looking at the fact that I have to achieve those goals, I'm taken away from there. And again, I have to blame my organization. So blame, yeah, I'm going to play that. All right. And have you seen that we have moved away from the transitions of there used to be a hero designer who used to come with like he's a well-respected person, comes to the organization, takes a look at the project requirements, and then delivers end-to-end solutions. Okay, amazing, good-looking solutions. And the team is going to just check as to whether it is going to be feasible by the technology or not, make some changes, create some versions, and then start implementing it. We call them to be a hero designer. Do you actually see such kind of hero designers in your organizations anymore? No. There is no way that an individual contributor is going to turn into a hero designer at this point of time because the culture is changing towards the fact that we will have to start collaborating more. People love to solve problems by themselves. You are not the only person who is going to be solving the problems in an organization. So what's going to happen is we are to actually build products, to build services, to build systems out there. The culture that is required at this point of time is to bring lot of people put together, have their own specializations put to use, and then build amazing solutions, which mostly means that there is a lot of complex interplay that is supposed to happen whenever a good solution has to come out. Okay. And have you heard of participatory design? Any organization that has been practicing this participatory design, where you bring the user, you make him churn some screens, create some screens? Is that happening? No? Okay. Have you been a part of design thinking workshops? Design thinking workshops? Yeah. Have you actually participated or moderated into them? Now, what does this tell is participatory design, especially, we used to think that users have no clue as to what do they want in life. and we are going to let them know as to what do they want. And these are the kind of people who are actually becoming a part of our design setup, and they are influencing the decisions that you were supposed to take with design. Not just influencing, they also are allowed to take a pen and paper and draw those wireframes as well. That's what a participatory design is supposed to do. Can you believe we are going in that direction? We are also moving towards the fact that people who have not uh, a really deep understanding about design also know as to what kind of journeys are they supposed to bring in. Say, someone who has been a part of the sales team, they know exactly as to how to sell loans. They know how to set up the journeys, but they could do it for, say, manual representation. You're here to create that into a digital representation. That's it. That's the only difference. So these are the people who also are capable at this point of time to influence the workflows that you're going to set up as well. So which mostly means that what exactly is UX designer supposed to do? That's a question. And when such questions arise in the beginning, you basically would try to put yourself into the corner and then say that I am here to make things appear pretty. I'm going to churn the amazing looking screens, and that's why I'm here, because the rest of the team also is already doing what it is supposed to do. Now let's look at it from a different perspective. This is taken from McKinsey, a study that was conducted where founders and people who are relatable with the fact that they have to release the budgets were studied. And when they are asked over the fact as to how do you perceive a design team whenever they have to drive the business or drive the designs, not design team as well as designer, there are two extreme ends which are possible. One, we either are seen as mad scientists. What does that mean? We are the people who can actually isolate ourselves the moment a requirement comes our way, and then we spend days and days in conducting those researches. Like, we build amazing hypotheses. I'm going to spend a lot of time in conducting those experiments, figure out as to whether this is going to work or not, and I have no clue as to where business is heading at this point of time. The goals have changed, the priorities have changed, I have no clue. So you have been able to create that gap within which the entire rest of the team appears like he's doing something. He's going to come back with some amazing thing which I'll not understand and then say that my goals changed. Okay. So I will look myself as a mad scientist. That's how, a lot of people actually see us at some point of time. Or mad creatives. I think this is something that we can all relate to, which means give me anything ugly, I'm going to turn it into pretty looking thing. And that is what is mad creative is. I'm like a design black box. Like, give me a very random looking bad Google sheet, I'm going to make it amazing looking. That's what I feel like I'm responsible for as well. So these two extreme ends are not good as well. You were supposed to turn out to be a contributor, a strategic contributor to the business success. But what is happening is you are tactically just getting involved into places where your value is only seen from the point. That's not just the problem of the people who are giving you the work. That also is the way how you have been representing yourself as well. Okay. You must have seen this. I mean, this is not with respect to GeekyAnts. So only a select few teams get a seat at the table. People who are having real good power of taking decisions. There are only few teams who have design heads, who have design managers. You must be reporting to CTOs at some point of time. And there are a lot of people. I think Praveen spoke of it some point of time. So do you know that they will not be able to really understand as to what you are supposed to bring to the table? And why exactly is that happening? Why are the organizations trying to put you in places where you were not supposed to be? Why is this happening? Is this simply because the organizations themselves don't really understand as to how to bring the value out of you, or your past designers or you yourself have not justified your approaches, that you are mature enough, that you exactly know as to how to drive a business and have a say at the table? We are just getting ourselves really passive. We are just getting comfortable in our spaces where we are like, हाँ हो रहा है, होता रहता है, चलते हैं ऐसे ही. Yeah. Okay. And this is another problem that goes on as well, which we have always been blaming, where everyone is said to be responsible for customer experience. I have worked with quite a few organizations where the customer support team is rather focusing upon wanting to change its name towards customer support to customer experience or something else. But what they are doing is firefighting any issues which are coming. Okay. There are technology team members who are aiming towards checking as to whether the solutions are going to be feasible or not. User later. I'm going to first check as to whether it is feasible or not from the development standpoint. That I'm going to do it. And There are marketing team, sales team who are amazing from the sales perspective. They are selling things that you will not be able to deliver, but then they have been selling it, which mostly means that no matter how much ever you come back to me and then tell that everybody is responsible for customer experience, there is a user who is sitting at the end. He's actually seeing broken experience almost at each stage. Why? Because you have not been able to step up and then say there always should be one person who really should own the user experience within the design, within the organization. Why? Because if there is something that is going wrong, up until the time it is going good, it's okay. Everybody is like feeling happy that I have contributed to the best thing about my organization. But once it starts getting wrong, is when someone has to take a blame. Someone has to say that, yes, it's because of me. I have not been able to input it in the right way, but I'm going to rectify it from here on. So it's about the rectification. And that rectification ownership will happen when you get up and then say that I do not let the democratization of user experience happen. I own it up. I'm going to do whatever it takes in order to bring the best experience to the user that is out there. Okay? Should we really revive? Are these really connecting with you guys? Does it look like, these are certain problems that we have been facing? I definitely believe we should revive. If there is anyone who is really trying to be comfortable in their spaces, I would like of you to get up and then say that, no, that's not what you're here for. This is not an easy job for UX designers. We were supposed to talk to hundreds of people, know how to connect with a lot more people. It was not a job that you were supposed to do by sitting behind the screen. It was not that. It was supposed to do a lot more. So it is really required for you to revive. And the first step to get started on reviving is stopping to blame. We have been blaming a lot of people around us. Sometimes we keep blaming our culture. Culture ही ऐसा है, मैं क्या करूं? Yeah, this goes on. And we have been blaming our bosses. You know what? I keep telling to him that, this is how UX design is supposed to be approached. And he's like, you know what? Let's not get into fights. Let's just, get things done. We have been blaming our bosses. We have been blaming our former seniors who have spent a good amount of time in the organization, set up some culture. And whenever you try to bring in certain change, they are like, but that's not what previous former designer used to do. Why are you displaying this amount of resistance? This is not required. So we have been blaming our previous former seniors a lot. Jugadu approach, we celebrate it, which we are not supposed to because we are scientific designers. We always try to move away from biases that we have. So no more Jugadu approach, but we still at least come back and say that, you know what, we just wanted to quickly get to the solutions. So we just found some quick ways and then got the things done. And that has been the culture of the organization. So yeah, it's Jugadu. So I'll not be able to do much about it. Or if nothing is to blame, we at least say that मौसम बुरा है designers के लिए तो कुछ नहीं कर सकते हैं. Yeah. So at this point of time, you need to really start looking beyond. And when I say looking beyond, it's not just about the fact that stop blaming. You will have to start looking at the fact that whatever the work you are doing, is it really adding value? Are you only experimenting with the way how the layouts are to be arranged, how colors are to be put out, how typography has to be changed? If you're doing this, I would request of you to start moving beyond, start looking beyond, because that's not where you are really adding the business value. Maybe if you are trying to avoid conflicts, if you are trying to tell that, you know what, ye wala fight, it appears like this is between that of the product team and the technology team because it is about feature prioritization. I don't have to really get into it. It was really required for you to be in there. Why? Because you are the only one who can actually bring that perspective from users. You are the users advocate in many ways. And if you have been moving away from that, it's time for you to start looking beyond. If you only have been putting out fires, if you do not know as to what exactly are you supposed to do in this entire quarter, and you have been waiting for your product owners, your bosses to come and say that you're supposed to spend your efforts today on this, then you are actually seen as someone who is a tactical designer who is supposed to just get the job done as quickly as possible without asking as many questions. If you are stuck in a place where you are only delivering for, say, that particular day, that particular event, without having a perspective towards the entire goals, I request of you to start looking beyond. And if you are performing beta testing, because we have to perform testing, right? So anyway, the organization has been conducting beta testing, chal jayega. Yeah. No, beta testing does not really appreciate the fact that you are really doing it with users out there. So do not convince yourself with doing things just for the sake of it. It's not going to add any value. You will have to start looking beyond. And if you're getting comfortable, especially for the people who have spent about 3 to 5 years of experience, they feel like I have learned a lot of tools. I already understand as to how to run surveys, focus groups, and all. Look beyond. They're always, in order to actually become a generalist UX designer, you need to go beyond what a design was ever supposed to do. You need to know how to connect with your sales team who has been selling amazing experiences. You need to know how to actually bring that information when you build your digital transformation capabilities. So you need to start looking beyond. And I'm gonna take it from Vineeth. So he says that you're supposed to measure, measure, measure. If you have not been measuring where you have been spending your efforts, those efforts are not put into any context when it comes to corporate cultures. You haven't done anything about it. Okay, so you are supposed to start measuring. Firstly, measuring requires you to set the goals. So start setting the goals. Measuring requires of you to start looking at, have you been able to achieve the success or not after inputting your efforts into it. Measuring would require of you to look at the fact that, are you making progress? Are there people who are supporting you in achieving that user experience? There always could be someone who would come and say, this is not required at this point of time. We are tight on budget, we are tight on timelines, let's just skip this and then get to it. Measure even that, because you know exactly as to how there are people who have not been supporting you to follow user centered design. Okay, measure digressions, measure lame requests. If people are coming and telling you that, थोड़ा सा एक ID card बन जाएगा क्या, एक logo बना के दे देना, don't do it. Why? Do you see that there is a business value that is getting driven? If you see that to be a lame request, if it is not adding value to the business by the end of it, make sure that you subtly say no to it. Yeah, so make sure that you measure even the things which are really nonsense, because they matter the most, so that you don't have to spend this amount of time in doing nonsense things later. And when I say measure, right, I think Vineeth already has spoken about the fact that how exactly should we look at churn rate, conversion rate as well. There are more metrics that you can start looking out from the perspective that comes very close to business numbers. Okay, so you could get started on the fact that we can start looking at process. Do I follow the process? Because process is going to tell me that I did not skip user research, which mostly means that I could have created a better experience solution. There are SUS scores. Evaluation scores could come from your heuristic evaluations. Those are scores. Task success rate, error rate, time on task. These are all usability metrics. I'm supposing that everybody is able to connect, because usability is the basics of user experience. Don't say no to that. And if you think that this is not going to be enough, a lot of people are still not able to connect, because am I making an impact by changing these numbers? Go beyond. And then start looking at the aspect as to, can you impact customer metrics, which could come from the point that, take a look at how you have been able to influence the CSAT scores, the NPS scores, and then see if you are actually inputting your efforts into making them change over time. You also could look at behavioral analytics. I think he spoke about the heat maps as well. There are business metrics where you could take a look at revenue numbers, conversion rates that you can impact. You can also look at support metrics. A good UX does not require people to come and ask questions to your support team. And that's what a good user experience was supposed to do. So if you can actually bring down the customer support volume, you actually are impacting good user experience. If you think that your organization has been spending a lot of money and time on training, if you can impact that, you will be able to directly equate to the fact that, how much are you paying that particular resource in the organization? Have you been able to save about 2 hours? Multiply it and then say that that's the amount of money that you have been able to save for the organization. You can also start looking at conversion metrics as well, conversion rate, cart abandonment rate, as well as qualitative research as well. But you should move closer to the fact that I am trying to make an impact that is measurable. Up until the time you can actually measure and then say that it's because of my efforts that there has been a change, there is always someone who is going to overshadow you, take the credits, go beyond. All right. So this is one thing that I have actually been seeing in many UX designers. This is simply because of the fact that we have learned how to perform user experience design, or there is a setup design process that I'll have to follow from some organizations. Okay, and the design process says me that I'll have to build personas. Why am I building it? How exactly am I using it? I have no clue, but the process said so. I'm going to do it. I have been following design thinking process. Is it to be employed in all the ways, all the places, all the kind of projects that you're coming across? Not necessarily. You need to actually have a culture that is open enough to accept that innovation is something that I will be able to take into account and then run business value from there. If your organizational culture is not letting you do that, you knowing what design thinking process is not going to be enough. You need to really understand as to there are about so many other design processes which one to employ depending upon what project you have come across. You also could be running surveys because that's the only kind of research method that we are aware of. It is not necessarily going to bring the numbers, the kind of value that you were supposed to bring from your research every time. Surveys are, like he says, it's a quantitative representation where you only can identify as to what is the user's behavior, not why is the behavior. So only in those cases will you be able to employ, and it requires a lot of money. So it so becomes that, have you used Survey Monkey? Anyone? Survey Monkey? Yeah. So cool thing. It has AI enabled at this point of time. Go and ask it as to, hey, can you give me 10 questions? I would like to run a survey. It gives you 10 questions. It has become really easy. And you are just considering yourself that if I know how to run a survey, how to run a controlled experiment, or maybe interviews, I would like to call myself, convince myself that this is it. I know the entire user experience. I would like of you to go beyond. And there are lots of other wastages that we have been doing. How many of you are really proud about the fact that you have been creating 100 screens in a week? Anyone over here? No, please don't do that because I'm not proud of you guys. Don't do that because you were supposed to really identify those 10 template framework designs and then tell a lot more story with your words. I don't have much of the things on my screen simply because I would like to make use of my words to tell you guys the story. Your screens were not supposed to be a replacement of your storytelling capabilities. You were supposed to actually just make use of some 10 screens, tell the entire story for the 100 pages, make use of that time for maturing your user experience practice in the organization. But stop wasting those efforts and then say that you have been doing amazing job. And you will also have to start looking at the fact that your job doesn't just end after handing off to the development team. You are responsible for whatever the goals that you had set up in the beginning for the design strategy to achieve that. Those were not for fun. Those were not just set up simply because the process asks of you. And if you have actually been stopping at some point of time where you think that anyway I'll have to just go to the next project, I don't have to worry about these things, don't even care about setting up those goals because you anyway are not going to achieve those goals. So don't become really better only about setting up the goals and then waste the time. And you will have to start looking at turning credible, turning dependable. This basically comes down to the point that you start focusing upon projects that you are good at, that you exactly know as to how to drive the business from. If you do not know, if you are not believing the fact that this is going to drive the business, then maybe subtly also understand how to say no to such kind of projects and start looking out for the projects that you can use and then drive the business as well. If your organizations are not okay with you telling no, that's not how the organizations are set out. You are really open to actually tell that. You just haven't explored that territory at this point of time. Start learning how to say no to things. Your specialty won't dilute if you would invite collaboration. Collaboration is the key that actually is the only thing that is going to make you a better designer in the coming time. Do not let go of it. If we are worried at this point of time that my specialty is going to dilute off because there are people who are going to decide on my behalf, the things that I used to decide in the past, now I'm not able to decide, then it's time for you to really make your basis really strong. Okay, make sure that you understand as to what are you here to take the grounds on, and then make sure that you start inviting the collaboration over here. And in order to actually get started on the collaboration, right, there are certain skills that I would like of you to get started on. The first one is learn how to negotiate, learn how to sell your designs. Do not only be okay with the fact that I'm going to build beautiful designs. No, you need to also sell them because nobody has the kind of ideology like you do because you created them. So be okay with the fact that up until some point of time you sell them. Also know as to when to detach as well. Okay, also know how to bring change because organizations are not actively just sitting to listen to you. Okay, they are not going to change all that culture that they have set up in the past 10, 20 years. So be okay, understand that it is a slow moving process, and then you also are going streamlined and it's going to take some time. Learn user experience to teach because many organizations do not really understand as to what is a user experience designer supposed to do, and they have not been doing a bad job by coming and telling you that can you turn that PPT into a better looking PPT, because that's what they expect of you. So what was your job to do in this case was to also let them know, sensitize them at all the levels that UX designer is supposed to actually create impact in these ways. So if at some point of time you're coming and telling me that my culture is really bad, it is not letting me do it, I first blame you because you have not been taking steps in sensitizing them. Of course, there are organizations which will not change. It is not necessary for them to mature from UX perspective. But there always are cases where you could try and then figure out as to if you will be able to mature it or not. Okay. And as you move forward, I would like all of you to start strengthening and prospering, especially from the point that will you be able to speed up the design churning? And there are ways by which you will be able to do that. Start setting up the systems, start understanding as to what were the ecosystem models that you would have spent a lot of time in the research when the project came to you, and then you would have spent about a month to understand ecosystem model. First understand it off, and especially when you are when the winds are a little low and you do not have much of a pressure on the project. So make sure that you elevate yourself to prepare for the times when you were supposed to start delivering very fast. And that's an appreciation that you will get when you actually can deliver very fast. There is a possibility that you could start delivering even at an innovation level as well. And start enabling the change. Be okay with the fact that it is not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's going to take a lot of time to understand as to how to change a culture. You are an active representation of a culture. You only cannot passively just accept everything that is coming your way. You are the one who is making it, you are the one who is going to change it as well. So make sure that you enable change, you enable adaptation, and always look out for the fact that today whatever you're doing is simply because you would like to enable yourself as a mature, serious user experience designer, and your organization actually uplifts alongside you as well. And that is when, in my opinion, I think you will be able to move towards delivering an activated UX, which has the potential of turning $1 into $9,900. And this is a serious thing where if you have been able to invest right kind of money in the right processes with respect to UX design, you have the capabilities of turning that up until $9,900. And that's what an activated UX is supposed to do. That's me. If you guys have any questions, I just would like to tell that serious ownership is the only ask. This is not for the people who are lighthearted. This is not for the people who would like to passively, comfortably just go ahead with the fact that I'm going to make here beautiful screens. UX design is a lot more than that. So let's get serious. That's me. If you guys have any questions, I can take that.
Hello, myself Tanzil. Like Sir said, I had a question regarding like always I'm reporting to the senior management or something like that. So I design two design frames, whatever the template is there. Yeah, two. One is visual heavy, one is backed by some UX research. So I try to go with the UX research, try to convince them, but almost all the time the visual heavy one is selected. So I would like to have a few insights, like how to convince them. Yeah, every time they release the product and have some setbacks, then they go with the research thing. But as a designer with a like little bit of experience, I know what's gonna work out.
My quick question to you: why exactly do you create these two versions? Who asked of you to do this?
Actually, the manager.
The manager asks of you, tell him
Yes.
that is not required. Maybe that's the first thing that you will have to stop, because that's really not required in almost any project's requirements that you're coming. You are the one who were supposed to actually identify as to how many versions am I supposed to create. You know where the versions come from? Because I have 100 ideas in my head, not because my project manager said that I need 6 variations from where I'll pick some. That's where the variations come. So don't give them the authority to decide on your behalf. And first take that back, maybe in a nice way rather than the way how I have said. But make sure you
I'm
actually
sure.
have this conversation.
I
and get
did
this
that
back.
one thing.
Okay, is this not
And,
working?
No, it's not working.
So-
That's why I asked you to convincing tips. How can I convince?
So
people?
I by the end of it, this is what I keep telling to people: when you can't change the organization, change the organization. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you.
Anybody else? Any more questions, please? I think that's it. Yeah, well, just one last question, I think. Yeah.
Hi again. So, just one question from a beginner's perspective. When you're saying go beyond, like, what do you expect for a fresher like me? Like, if I'm applying in your company, what is that something, yeah, like, go beyond point or tip that I should have?
बहुत ज़्यादा हो गया. Yeah, this is too much. Okay, this was mainly meant for people who have been in the design field for some time. They have really seen exactly as to what happens in the cultures out there. So they are definitely supposed to go beyond. But I think with the way how there has been an advent in the organizations coming up, the institutes at this point of time, you guys have been doing great. You said you're from NIFT. NIFT, is it? Yeah, I've seen amazing portfolios. I think you guys are doing great. But Praveen already spoke about this, I suppose, where he mentioned about the fact that you will have to bring in the realistic capabilities with respect to your work. So if you are only trying to present that I have a bucket list of skills, such as I know how to build personas, I know how to build customer journey maps, I don't care, because I'm not here to identify as to do you have a bucket list of skills with you or not. I'm here to really identify as to if I give you a business problem, will you be able to independently solve it or not? Can you tell that story? Can you actually bring that number to me? I'm okay with you. So if you're able to tell that story, that should be enough.
Thank you so much, Shaikh. Believe me, it was phenomenal, right, guys? Can we have a big again, once again? Yeah. Great, awesome. So we have now we are moving to the last speaker of the day, and her name is Parul Verma. She is a UI UX designer, and she loves to do painting, and sometime, of course, she read a lot of books. Today, she'll be sharing insights on design traps and market wins. So please join me by giving a warm welcome to her.
Hello, hello. Is this fine? My voice? You guys are doing well and enjoying the meetup till so far. So, before I start, I will love to ask you all the designers and the non designers and the students a question here. Have you ever built a product that looks visually appealing, works well, but still didn't quite mark the hit in the market? Any of you? I guess there are a lot of experienced people here, so you can just raise your hands. Okay, sure. So, I believe most of the designers are can relate that thing. Pouring your creativity and efforts into something which didn't quite make its place in the market. So, today we are going to talk about why that happens by diving deep into some of the most common pitfalls in product design. And more importantly, we are going to explore how to avoid those traps so your product not only looks good, works well, and rocks in the market. So, I will just give a quick introduction about myself. I'm Parul. I'm a UI UX designer here at GeekyAnts. And when I'm not designing, I am creating paintings, I'm writing stories, and I'm a curious person, so I explore a lot of stuff. So, my friends usually tell me that I look at the things differently. Like other people usually focuses on the positive parts, like how should we make a product successful, where I think about what negative things we should avoid to make that product successful. So today's talk is relatable to that. We are going to talk about blueprints to blockbusters, design traps, and market wins. Before that, as a UI UX designer, I always want to make sure that the work I do always makes sense, not just visually and not just in the aspect of how it looks good, but I want to do something creative that not just works well and looks good, but also stands out in the market, helps the users meet their needs, expectations, and behavior. And yeah, sounds good doesn't always work when it comes to the market. So let's look into some of the most common pitfalls in the product design that I believe most of us can relate throughout the journey of our career. So let's look into one of the most common mistakes that I think we all have done at some point of time, like mostly during the early stages. Designing for yourself, not the users. I think we all can relate to it. And just think about it. It sometime you are just sitting over your couch and you got this amazing idea that you believe it's brilliant, and like you it makes you feel like you are a genius, but you get all excited and because you think that's something you would use, but the problem is you are not your user. At early stages of my career, I have faced this issue. We built something sleek, seamless, minimalistic, which we thought were pretty innovative. But when we launched it in the market, we realized that user did not expect it, and they were like, "What is even this for?" So why that happened was we did not validate user needs and expectations enough. We kind of ignored what they needed, and it's pretty easy to avoid those things. Just keep doing your research, the core research. Interact with user in real life, to your friends, to your family, if they need what you are building. This is the most easiest way you can have a you can avoid this mistake, designing for yourself, not the users, because you're solving their problem, not yours. Moving like speaking of research, we will be moving to the next pitfall, which is ignoring the market research. I think market research is something we should always do before we jump into the design phase. So, and sometime I can see like I have also done that. Sometime I was so focused on building something that looks good and works well, but I forgot to analyze the market situation, what market actually needed. So it's always a good idea that you do your market research properly, because there are a lot of products that are already in the market, and believe me, are the better ones. So just do your research and do your competitive research. See what competitors usually offer, what's the missing piece for your product that you are going to build, what makes it unique from the other product, and always focus on the pain point of the users. Moving on to the next, how many of you have been using Hike? Before I proceed to the next talk, have you know about what Hike is? Hike, Hike. Okay, so I guess young people kind of know about that. So our next talk is next pitfall is overloading feature, and this is something we all can relate. We hike. I will explain it to you. Yeah. Yeah. So overloading feature, as known as feature creep. I mean, we all have worked in a client product at some point of time where clients just want to add a lot of feature on the earlier stages, right? Like how many of you has worked with and deal with such clients? You can raise your hands again. Okay, a lot of people. Yeah. So this is something you really want to avoid when you're just launching your new product. Sometimes adding more and more feature feels tempting and appealing, but this is the mistake we do on the early stages of building a product. When you want feature creep is it happens when you try to add more features by diluting the users from the core perspective of the product. You keep adding new features and forget the what the makes the product unique. what is the main purpose that you launch the product. And overloading the application or a product with a lot of features is overwhelming for the users. They want to try something which is simple. Even I as a user want to try something simple at the starting. Then again, if I'm adding um, lot of things over the time, then we will adjust. But at the starting, if you flood the user with a lot of features and applications, they might think like, oh, what I'm going to do about it. So moving on to my question about Hike is a messaging platform that was built by an Indian creator. It is now actually shut down, so if you guys don't know, it's fine. So Hike was much more advanced from its time. It was like it has so many features like AI chatbot, which are other platforms are introducing now, which was called Natasha, the stickers, also some other things like hidden mode and all. And even I have used Hike. I don't know much about all these features like Hike Cricket, Kabaddi, Hike News. So I only used it for the messaging. So we will talk about what makes Hike a failure. So when we talk about Hike was launched as a alternative of WhatsApp in the Indian market. But if you compare Hike and WhatsApp, WhatsApp has a main agenda, messaging, and it was so easy to use, and people would, I will, even my grandparents can easily use it. It's not that hard to use. So instead of that, Hike just keep adding more and more features over the time, just in like I would say quarterly, which made the application very complicated for the new users. And it only targeted the young crowd. So what about the other, like the old people? What about the new, like the kids? They don't know how to use much about Hike. And also WhatsApp, uh, the smartphones become cheaper in India as compared to the other countries later on, and the internet was easily accessible for many people, both for urban and rural area, which gave the WhatsApp a upper edge because it was easier to use, not much complicated. And later on, when they jumped into the business, Hike was nowhere to be found. So in 2021, Hike was finally closed. So it does tell us about, you want your product to do everything, but in the end, by doing it ends up doing nothing. So it's better we start with simplicity and later on we add and introduce new features to the product. It's fine if it's simple and it has a core value about it. It doesn't have to be too overcomplicated. Let's just user in adapt to the product, and later on the later stages you can introduce new features on the next phase. So now talk about the other pitfall, which is skipping user testing. And believe me, you don't want to skip it. Let's take an example of Apple Map. How many have you used Apple App or Apple Map, or have you been opened that or installed that application? Again, you can raise your hands. You don't have to shout it. Okay. Did you guys like it? You can say it out loud. Sure. Because it's a bit complicated. Before launching into the market, Apple did not test their product. So now you can guys still can go onto the Play stores and the app stores and see the review of how bad the review is. So don't ever skip the user testing, and do suggest to your clients that user testing is important. User testing refers to the something when you launch the product in the market without testing it with the real users. And if you do not test it with your real users, the product can face very hardships, like bad user experience, all the resources from the business side, it's just going to the waste. And here at GeekyAnts, what we do before we jump into the full-fledged product, we always uh, suggest our clients and our partners to, let's build something which we can test with the other users. And if that goes correct and if everything's fine, we can always introduce, even if something is bad, we can always introduce new features on the next step by having the feedback from the first phase. which makes product more sustainable and works in the market. So it's always good to test the product before you are launching it into the real world. And remember, it's quality over quantity. How many features you add in your product, it doesn't make it great. You have to add some, you need to have some core values, some core ideas that makes your product good. Because if I will I can take an example for Swiggy. Let's take, when Swiggy launched, there was already hundreds of food delivering applications. But today's time, there are only two, and I believe all of you guys know what those two are. You can speak out loud again the name of those applications. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Swiggy and Zomato are like the application which evolves with time. But we will talk about it later. And let's jump into the next pitfall, which is failing to adopt. And like I said about Swiggy and Zomato, with over the time, like they just started as a food delivering application, but now they are different. Like, I'm not saying it's very different, but it's like they have become more, not just a delivery application. Now you can book your dinings. Now you can book even short tickets from those applications and order groceries. So it's always a good, you adopt, you adapt with the market. Just don't sit sit and stand still. Failing to adopt means sticking the original designs, visions, and the business goals, which I believe user don't still want to have it. If your design and your ideas, your vision becomes old, it means that no one's going to use your product. You need to evolve your designs, not just designs, your product idea over the time, because user will find some a better way in the near future. If your product is just giving something which is already there but old, or nothing progress is going on. Now let's take an example of Nokia. I believe this is like a pretty common example, and everyone know about Nokia, right? Have you used Nokia mobile phones? You can say it out loud, more loud. Yeah, so Nokia was something which was dominating the market in early 20s, I would say. And even I have used that phone. I'm pretty young, I would say, and I have used that I I have used that used that mobile phone. And um, and today's generation, like, and the more younger generation would be, they will know about it more in a way like, oh, it's something, a strong phone that was hard to break, that's it. So the story of Nokia, why it failed, was because it did not evolve with the market. When iPhone launched, they Nokia was like, we will see what happens, if the user going to love iPhone or they're just going to stick with what we have. But their perception was wrong. User loved the idea of iPhone, the smartphones. Even Samsung started manufacturing smartphones, but later when Nokia realized, it was too late. But it was still not too late. Even though they did not still stay in the market, they're still here, they're still doing what they can to stand still. And I hope they build something which is greater than iPhone or Samsung, so we would use it again. And speaking of a success story, we all use Instagram, another common example. And I believe this is like a very basic one. So, but do you know Instagram was called Bourbon before? Anyone knows about it? Nice. So, so originally it was called Bourbon, and it was a check-in application. But the creator noticed that it was user like sharing their photos, which they took the feedback. It's not like they ignored their users, like I would say Nokia. I wouldn't be saying this, but they did not ignore their user. With the continuous feedback and the data they got from all those research they did, they built something what we have today. Instagram is evolving with time. Not just Instagram, I would say all the platforms which have a great place in the market. They're evolving with time, always introducing new features so that user keep just be stay in the application. Just for example, Figma. um, they are introducing a lot of features, Figma slides, FigJam, Figma designs. So, and even the AI feature they might launch later. So it's just all the products, they wants to stay in that platform. They don't want you to leave. So this is what makes a product successful. If you're just keep going back to that product, it means like there is a succeed. You have succeeded. I mean, they have succeeded. So the main important thing is, if you build a product that users love, but it did not align with business goals, it will not stand. It's not going to be standing long in the market. Business goal needs to be aligned with user needs. Think about, you are building a bridge. One side is user needs and one side is a business goal, and both side needs to be equally sturdy. If one becomes heavy, one becomes the other becomes heavy, the bridge will fall. So if the user needs, we talk about user needs. If the application is so easy to use and less overcomplicating, user just love to have it and use it, then what about the business goal? The business will financially crumble and the bridge will collapse. Same, if we talk about the business goal, if we make the product more profitable, and we did not talk about making the product so easy and useful for the user, the users will shift to the other bridge. They are not going to use your product. So it's always a good to align both of them. The balance, the key is the balance product, and which makes your product not just survive but thrive in the market. So with so to recap, design for your users, do your research, avoid making your application or product a feature creep, test your product and always be open to change. And before that, Sheikh Murad, Praveen and Vineeth just gave the talk about how to make product market fit, with some additional thoughts about how we can make your product business align, how to do a proper research, and how to use AI for a better future. These are the common pitfalls, but these are also the most common opportunities for the improvement. And with that, finally, just a quick reminder: designing a product is same like no, I would say that if it's a joke that you have to explain, it's uh, if a joke you have to explain, it's not that great. Same goes for the design. If you have to explain every step of your design, then believe me, the product is not that great, and the user journey is also not that great. So keep it simple, make it user friendly, and go out there and design the best blockbuster product for the future. So with that, I'm Parul Verma, designing out. See you soon, guys, for in the next meetup.
Can we have few questions? You have anything to ask for? Anybody? That's fine. Okay, sure.
Okay,
Thank
you
you,
guys.
Parul. Thank you so much, guys. Isn't this amazing? Amazing talk. Thank you so much, Parul. So yes, we are already in the end of the session now, and for the online viewers, we are just going to end the session. So thank you so much for joining, and we'll be coming soon. You can say within a month time with a new topic, exciting topic for you. So yes, stay tuned. And this is Prem once again signing off. Thank you so much for joining. Yeah.